am turning into a booktuber. I made a video recommending 5 texts of what to read basically if you want to think critically about media, culture, and everyday life, and people loved it. Very shocked, very grateful that people resonated with all the recommendations that I put out, and people asked for more in the comments, so here I am making another video recommending more pieces of text. And in this video I have books, articles, no, I have one article, some podcast episodes, and even a movie. We're gonna jump right into it. The first section is podcasts. I have 2 podcasts, and then within each podcast I share certain episodes, because I hate when people recommend me a podcast and the podcast ends up having like 100 episodes and I don't know where to start. So I'm going to tell you where I think you should start. So the first podcast I have is titled Binchtopia. This is a podcast produced by Eliza, McLamb, and Hava, and they talk about kind of the same things that we are talking about here on this channel. And so here's my list of recommended episodes. The first one is I Eat My Slop Bowl on Company Time, and this one looks at companies like Chipotle, Hava, Sweetgreen, and that role in corporate social culture. The second episode that I have to recommend is Caught in 4K. They go into a deep dive on the history of surveillance in the United States, and they kind of relate it back to this digital panopticon that we have found ourselves in with social media. The next episode is We Give You a Princess. They deep dive into the US's obsession with the makeover. The makeover is in rom-coms, it's reality TV, it's weight loss TV shows. And the last cluster of podcast episodes I have to recommend from Binchtopia have to do with family vloggers and kidfluencers, momfluencers, and the impact of a digital footprint when you have been online for the majority of your life. And so these episodes are Honey, I Monetized the Kids Again and Babies for Simulacra. The second podcast I have to recommend is Internet Analysis by Tiffany Ferg. I think she does a really good job of presenting research and examples, and she communicates these in a very easy to digest way while still remaining very critical about media, pop culture, and she brings in all of this to discuss how this impacts our greater society. So the episodes I have to recommend here are Peaking in High School, House Flippers, Water Talk, Learned Helplessness, and tech literacy crisis that we have going on right now. She also goes into communal living, and she goes into the idea of wealth and class in lifestyle content. These are all topics that are very aligned with this channel and my research and the things that I communicate through my social critiques. And so if you found me first, I think you are going to really resonate with all of these podcast episodes. Oh my god, it's snowing! Oh my god. I woke up this morning and we were supposed to get a lot of snow today, and they predicted that it started at 10. It's currently 12:20 when I'm filming this, but it's starting to flurry now. So, alright, let's get into books. The first one that I am starting with is Mythologies by Roland Barthes. These are short essays written between 1954 and 1956, and Roland Barthes looks at French wooden toys, wine and milk, wrestling, just artifacts of everyday life and what this says about greater culture. And these are semiotic works, so he looks at these artifacts as signs, and what are these signs signifying? What mythology of everyday life is this artifact upholding? This is a really great collection, and it really inspires the way that I conduct my research and communicate my research, and this actually inspired my podcast, which I'm gonna get into in a little bit. But yeah, highly recommend this. And again, these are really short essays. These are like 1 to 3 pages long. So you can just pick up the book, pick up the piece, and just read one and put it down, and you can continue engaging with it. The next book I have is Media Life by Mark Dueze. Mark Dueze claims that you live in media. Who you are, what you do, and what all of this means to you does not exist outside of media. And so this is where the podcast episode comes in. I have a podcast with Grant. We met in grad school, and we have very similar research interests, so we decided to start this podcast, Media Culture and Why We Feel Like Crying So Much. And I love when he reads a piece of text and he walks us through it, and he did that with this book. So if you want an introduction to this text before you jump into the book, or you read the book and you want a discussion around it, I highly recommend you go listen to Welcome to Media Life by our podcast. Hi, Grammy. What's up? Do you want to join filming? Okay, so the next book I have is The Cost of Connection, How Data is Colonizing Human Life and Appropriating It for Capitalism. And this is a very timely read. One of the first videos that I made coming back into this channel was about data colonialism and how tech billionaires are colonizing our digital spaces. So I made a video kind of diving a little bit deeper into that concept, but I highly recommend this book because it is very timely with what is happening to our social media and just this current state of surveillance tech and just existing in this digital space right now. Hi, Graham. Hi. Okay, you want to be in the video? Oh, big yawn. Okay, so I just wanted to read this quote out. This is a definition of data colonialism. So data colonialism is the extension of a global process of extraction that started under colonialism and continued through industrial capitalism, culminating in today's new form. And instead of natural resources and labor, what is now being appropriated is human life through its conversion into data. This is another text where we have a podcast episode kind of walking through the text. So if you want to engage with the material, but you want to get an introduction to it, or again, you read it and you want a discussion around it, I highly recommend you listen to the episode, What is at Stake Under Data Colonialism by the Media Culture and Why We Feel Like Crying So Much podcast. And I have one more nonfiction book for this section. I have Speaking Into the Air, and are you gonna get tired of me being like, we have a podcast episode for that? But we do have a podcast episode for this. This is more of an academic book, and John Durham Peters kind of talks about the role of communication in society. And again, I highly recommend you go listen to Speaking Into the Air. I think it's titled Unpacking Speaking Into the Air, if you want to engage with this text as well. Okay, now I have two nonfiction books to recommend. The first one is The Guest by Emma Cline, and I feel like some people are going to be surprised that this is, bless you, I don't even remember what I was saying. But the first fiction book that I have to recommend is The Guest by Emma Cline. I don't know if I liked this book. I love her writing style, but I don't know if I didn't like the book or if I didn't like the character. And that would be more on me, and you cannot like a character but like the book. But anyway, this book was really popular a few summers ago, and I do think that this book says a lot about how we exist in everyday life right now, and how we talk about class, and how we engage with commodities to signify class. And just because I don't like a book doesn't mean I can't appreciate the book. So when I sat down to curate this list, it felt wrong to not include it, so I am including it. The Guest by Emma Cline. And to conclude the books section of this video, I have Yellowface by RF Kuang. She talks about how we consume and engage with publishing, with books and authors and social media, and I genuinely could not put this book down. I started and finished it within 24 hours. Okay, and so I have one movie to recommend. The movie I have to recommend is Tampopo. It's on HBO and on Criterion, and it's a Japanese movie, and so it is in Japanese, but there are English subtitles. And this was a movie that one of my friends recommended for our movie club, and I love this movie. It talks about food and culture and the different ways to enjoy food, and I highly recommend this one. And we're ending this video with an article, and the article I have to recommend is The Menu Maven Whom Lincoln Haters Hate, and this New Yorker piece is by Zach Helfand, and he wrote about this guy named Henry who collects menus from hotels, secret societies, weddings, a KKK dinner dance, a Chinese New Year celebration at a state prison. And I was really drawn to this piece, and I think this one portion can summarize it up. The writer asked Henry, why menus? And Henry said, I was interested in food and wine. I was interested in the history of everyday life. So those things came together. And evidently, I love looking at artifacts of daily life and what that says about culture and how we exist and engage with each other and all of that. So I really love this article, and you should go read it. Okay, so we have made it to the end. I'm really considering making a video of my to-read list because there's so many texts that I haven't read or watched or listened to, and I don't want it to seem like this is this ultimate list of texts to think critically about media culture and everyday life. There are so many texts out there that I haven't engaged with, and I just want to spend my time reading and reflecting and writing and engaging with this and engaging with you all as you read these texts as well. And you know, I'm an academic at my core. I'm also considering making a video of books that I just recommend in general. There are a lot of books that I read for fun. I don't just sit here and read philosophy books or it's really snowing. This one's really distracting me today. But there are a lot of books out there that I love reading, and I'm not just sitting here reading like theory books and philosophy books. There are a lot of books that I read for fun as well. So I'm thinking about making a video about that. So let me know if you would be interested in that, or if you just want me to stick to this critical engagement with media culture and everyday life. Maybe I am turning into a booktuber. Total topic switch. Somebody commented on my last video with my book recommendations, text recommendations. I need to stop saying books. But they commented that they would love if I started a book club. And I've been trying to figure out how this would look. But let me know if you would be interested in reading these texts together and engaging with them together, because there's a lot that you can gain from reading a piece of text and engaging with it and thinking critically about it. But I also feel like there's a lot of joy and a lot of thinking that happens and a lot of engagement that happens when you read with other people. I mean, that's why some of these texts are so impactful to me. I read them in seminars and we talk about them on podcasts. I talk to them with my friends, and I feel like that's a big part of engaging with text. So let me know if that is something that you would be interested in. If this does come to like fruition, it would take place during the summer because I teach during the spring and fall and I work a 9 to 5. And so I feel like summer would be a good time to do something like a book club, but let me know if that is something that you're interested in. And I feel like that would really take this engagement to like the next level. And engagement as in like engaging with the text, not like engaging with my channel, because ultimately I am here to help people think critically about everyday life. But I do also love when people comment and like and subscribe and all of that. So thank you for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoy reading and listening to and watching these texts that I recommend. And it made me really happy when I read comments on my last video from people who read these texts after I recommended them, or they read it for a different class and they wanted to talk about it. So if you want to comment as you're processing these texts, please do so. I love engaging with this material. So yeah, happy reading. No, happy reading, watching, listening. Anyway, goodbye. Here's the snow that was distracting me. And this is what the snow looks like now. I am wrapping up editing this video and look at all the snow.